Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday, the end of the working week. I hope you've all enjoyed yourselves. We're now edging towards the return of club football and the big crucial run into the season, just over a week away now from Arsenal versus Leeds and Manchester City versus Liverpool. What a big weekend that is going to be, but we've still got plenty of international football to go before that. Obviously, still some games last night. England beating Italy 2-1, really good game that was, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Bukayo Saka playing in that, Jorginho playing in that as well. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale involved in the squad but didn't feature. I'll talk about that game. We'll talk about a little bit more about Folarin Balogun, who's the US charm offensive on Balogun is really stepping up at the moment. Some interesting thing overnight, sort of developments and comments overnight from that. Now we'll have a little look at the internationals to come as well. But I wanted to start on last night's game with England, and not about Saka. I wanted to talk about Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice, we all know, is a very big target for Arsenal this summer. We don't know if it's going to happen yet, but he's a very big target for Arsenal this summer, and they're certainly going to try and sign him. I watched that game yesterday, and I watched Declan Rice played really close attention because I don't see too much of Declan Rice because obviously I'm watching Arsenal every week. You know, I don't really watch West Ham, I have to say, unless they're playing Arsenal. And I see a fair bit of him, but not lots. So I never really just sit there and focus on Declan Rice. But I did yesterday, and he was so good in that game, especially in the first half when he absolutely ran the show in Naples. Second half, not quite so dominant, and Italy played a lot better, but I still thought Declan Rice was good. And I was just watching that game yesterday, I was thinking he would be such a fantastic signing for Arsenal if it does happen this summer. It's not going to be easy, it's going to cost a lot of money. We've heard time and time again from West Ham in the build-up to this summer that it's going to take a British record transfer fee to sign Declan Rice. Now, whether that actually is the case, again, we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure that Arsenal are going to try and get him for a lot cheaper than that, considering he'll only have, I think, a year left on his deal at the end of the season, and he's made it pretty clear that he wants to move, and he wants to move to a Champions League club. There's going to be plenty of other interest in him, we know that, and whether that sort of ramps up the price, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Chelsea, you know how Chelsea act in the transfer window now, and Chelsea are certainly interested in Declan Rice as well. So whether they come in and sort of smash everyone out the water with some ridiculous offer remains to be seen. But Chelsea aren't necessarily looking very unlikely unless they go on and win it. They're going to have they're not going to be able to offer Champions League football, which is one of the big reasons that Declan Rice wants to leave West Ham now. We're not sure if Mason Mount's going to just stay at Chelsea, who's obviously Declan Rice's really, really good mate. If he leaves, maybe that will stop, won't make Chelsea quite so attractive to him. Whether he'd be willing to accept an 8-year contract as well, while that's appealing to some, it's certainly not appealing to others. So there's lots of reasons why potentially Chelsea isn't looking anywhere near as likely when it comes to Declan Rice as it did just a year ago. And, Arsenal are positioning themselves to be right at the front of the queue when it comes to Rice. And I just watched that sort of performance yesterday, how he dominated in that first half, his ability to go box to box, the way he drives forward with the ball, the way he sweeps up in and around his own penalty area. Some fantastic sort of challenges yesterday in front of the back four. Some great driving runs forward. He's just that really... I think it'd be a fantastic sign. Honestly, I've said it before, I honestly think if Arsenal sign Declan Rice this summer, I think it would be the biggest signing Arsenal have made. Maybe Mesut Ozil it comes before that, but so I would say the biggest signing Arsenal have made since Sol Campbell, just in terms of the teams they would have to beat to sign him, the competition they'd have to beat to sign him, the stature of the player in terms of right where he is now. You'd have to go back probably a year, and think if Declan Rice was available, you'd just think Arsenal would have absolutely no chance of signing him. But now that's different. I think that says an awful lot about where the club are right now. And if they could go on and get that deal done, like I said, I just think the message it would send out, not just in terms of the fact that Arsenal are, signing good players, top players, the fact that they can beat really big, strong rivals for a player of his calibre, of his age, would say an awful lot about where Arsenal are and how much they've moved forward in a very short space of time. So, yeah, I watched that game very excited, I have to say. And I don't want to think too much ahead to the summer because the transfer window just feels like a long time away now, and there's so much important things to happen between now and then. that I don't really want to even start considering the summer, to be honest. But I just, as it was the international break and as I was watching that game yesterday, I just really wanted to pay quite close attention to Rice. And I have to say I came away from it very, very impressed. And, if Arsenal do go on and sign him, I think it'd be very, very exciting. But let me know what you guys think. As always, in the comments below, would you like Declan Rice at Arsenal? If you do, how much do you think they should spend to try and get Declan Rice at Arsenal? Or do you think they should spend that money elsewhere? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's talk about Folarin Balogun, shall we? Again, I've talked about him a lot in recent videos, but there's a lot going on with Balogun. I think it's a really interesting topic. I've kind of had my say in terms of what I think he should do in this national break, in terms of his international future, sorry. Not that matters at all, because I'm sure he doesn't listen to me. Well, I know he doesn't listen to me. But the US is certainly stepping up their charm offensive. They've held further talks now. We know that Balogun is in Florida. He posted that on social media with a picture that very quickly people identified as him being in Florida, as is the way with social media nowadays, and that has now been confirmed overnight with comments made by Anthony Hudson, the sort of standing coach of the US men's national team. He said, "We've spoken to Balogun. He's out here having a bit of a break and doing some training. We've had some discussions. I think it's been good because it's been an opportunity for us just to share about our program and who we are and what we do, and that's it. I hope we get the chance to speak with him again. It's been good, and I know a few of the guys have spoken to him as well." So interesting stuff there. Christian Pulisic, who's just been named the captain over at US, he was also talking about him in a press conference. He said, "I haven't really spoken to him personally. I know some of the guys that know him from previous teams or whatever have reached out to him and spoken to him. From our side, we'd love to have him." So yeah, real charm offensive being stepped up right now by the US when it comes to Balogun, understandably so. They need a striker. Balogun's a very good striker. He's young. If they could get him in now, you've got 4 years to sort of build a team around him ahead of the World Cup. So you can see why the US are so keen. I've had my say. I think he should wait a little bit longer before making a commitment, unless he is absolutely desperate to join the US. And if he is, then he should absolutely go and do it now, because you've got to follow your dreams, follow your ambitions. So yeah, it seems by those comments by Anthony Hudson, it certainly seems like the most likely option, which is, I think most people probably expected with this trip that Balogun has made to Florida, is to go there and see them, to maybe see the training camp, to speak to people, and sort of, he needs to do that before making any sort of decision. I don't think you can just sort of decide there and then by what people have said to you on the phone or anything like that. It's good that you've gone over there and sort of met them and had a look, and then you can make a decision. I just think the key thing for Balogun is not to rush into anything, because he's absolutely doesn't need to rush. Like I said, unless he is absolutely desperate and set on choosing the US, then he should obviously go and do it. But if he's not, if he's still a bit on the fence, then he needs to take his time, not rush into a decision. Hear what the US have got to say, come back, finish the season with Reims, see what happens in the summer in terms of where he's going to be playing his football next season. If he is playing in the Premier League, then he's going to give himself a very good chance of making the England squad as well. So you've got to weigh up these things before you make a final decision. But I mean, for Balogun, it's a fantastic position to be in, isn't it? You got these two countries. Well, you got three, because Nigeria as well absolutely wants to have him as well. So you've got three countries battling it out to try and get you to commit your future to them. I mean, in the US, you imagine the commercial possibilities that will be available to Balogun should he choose them will be absolutely massive, and I'm sure that is being relayed to him right now while he's over there, because he would be pretty much a poster boy ahead of the World Cup, and there'd be so many commercial opportunities available. He'd rake the money in, so it'd be a fantastic opportunity for him. And as I said, I'm pretty sure they're making that very clear to him right now while he's over there. So yeah, brilliant position for Balogun to be in. It'll be intriguing to see how things go with him before he makes that final decision. Okay, so internationals. I thought Bukayo Saka yesterday in England game pretty quiet. I was watching it with my hands over my eyes. A lot of time there was one tackle in that second half. Someone came sliding in, took him clean out. I think 5 minutes into the second half, it was just like, oh my God, please get up. I can't handle it. Fortunately, it was fine. Got substituted sort of midway through the second half. Seemed fine. No injury issue with him, which is good. Jorginho struggled a bit, certainly in the first half, because Bellingham and Declan Rice were so good. Italy just couldn't cope in that midfield. I thought they came into it more in the second half. Obviously, it was a really good game, really exciting game. Actually, I thought England were excellent. Bellingham, Rice, Kane, I thought was brilliant as a central striker. Broke the record, of course. A big night for him, and a really good win for England. Italy don't lose many games. I think there's like 40 games unbeaten in European qualifiers at home. England have ended that run, which went back to 1999. It's a great start to the European qualifying campaign for them. Thomas Partey got off to a good start. Ghana leaving it late, but getting a late winner against Angola to claim a 1-0 win. So really good for Partey. He played the full 90 minutes. No injury issues there. Sort of a couple of big nights coming up for Arsenal players. I've got them listed down. Belgium are playing tonight, so Trossard's in action, Kivior's in action. Poland versus Czech Republic, Belgium versus Sweden, and Portugal under-21s versus Romania under-21s. Fabio Vieira in action tonight. And then Saturday you've got USA playing, so Matt Turner. You've got Scotland playing Cyprus, so Kieran Tierney. England under-21s against France, which is Emil Smith-Rowe. Granit Xhaka playing for Switzerland against Belarus, and Odegaard playing for Norway against Spain. Those Norway games are a bit annoying because they're playing Saturday night, Tuesday night, and both of them are away from home. So they go to Spain and then they go to Georgia, and that one's on Tuesday night. It's just not going to give, Odegaard's probably not going to get back till Wednesday. He's going to have had a lot of plane journeys. Not ideal for that. So fingers crossed he can be sort of wrapped up in cotton wool and recover. Of course, Erling Haaland has sort of phoned in sick and avoided these 2 trips for Norway. I'm sure he probably is injured because Norway wouldn't have wanted to release him if he wasn't, but that's certainly a bit of a benefit for Manchester City ahead of that massive game for them against Liverpool immediately after international break. But yeah, a lot of travelling for Odegaard there. Not the ideal 2 trips for them, especially going to Georgia on the Tuesday night before flying probably back to Norway and then back to London. It's a lot of travel for him. Fingers crossed nothing goes wrong. I mean, he was speaking in the build-up to their game tonight, and he was talking about Arteta and the coaching staff at Arsenal and how detailed it all is and how he's never known anything like it before in football. And it's certainly working for Odegaard because what a season he's having. What a player he is. I saw there's lots of people have been sort of choosing their players of the season. It's going to be an interesting one, player of the season, because how can you not choose Haaland because of his goals? It's just unbelievable what he's done. He's broken every record there is pretty much over here. But does scoring those goals make you the best player in England? It's difficult, isn't it? It's like, how do you sort of judge it? Obviously, he's the best striker in England. He's scored the most goals, but has he really been the best player? It's a difficult debate. It's a difficult argument because I think if you're talking about purely best football player in England this season, I think it's really hard not to come to the conclusion that it's either been Bukayo Saka or Martin Odegaard because of what they've done, the consistency they've done it, the quality of their play. In terms of pure footballing terms, those 2 I think have been standout players over pretty much anyone in England this year. But it's very, very difficult not to give it to Erling Haaland because of the outrageous amount of goals he scored and just the way he's done it and his ability to get into the position to be in the right place to score those goals that he does. It's so impressive. So it'll be interesting when the awards are dished out at the end of the season. Especially the Players' Player of the Award. I imagine the football writers are going to give it to Haaland because I just think it's really hard not to because of the goals he scored. But I wonder what the players, who are out there really think. Do they take as much into account just the sheer number of goals, or do the players more view it as, who's been actually the best footballer? So it'll be interesting to see if it's a little bit different or if Haaland just cleans up all the awards come the end of the season. So we'll wait and see, but I think Odegaard and Saka are right in the running for that. Well, they should be anyway. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anything you've agreed with, disagreed with, anything you want to share, hit me up in the comments below. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Please do enjoy your Friday wherever you've been watching this around the world and enjoy the start to your weekend. I'll speak to you soon.